Good morning and thank you for joining Modena's webinar on the power of transparent commands in Civil 3D. My name is Salome Fourie and I am the Civil Infrastructure Account Manager. Presenting today is Anro Human. He is our Applications Engineer and part of our Modena Infrastructure team. Please direct all your questions to the Q&A box. All the questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and be emailed through to you shortly after the webinar. If you've missed out any of our previous webinars, you can visit our Modena YouTube channel. If you have any other queries, you're welcome to email or contact me. My details will be in the chat box. Anru, over to you.
Thank you, Salome, and good morning, everyone. So today, as Salome said, we will be going over the power of transparent commands in Civil 3D. Now, let me just quickly get open my program here. Okay, so I've prepared a little two drawings to showcase these commands to you guys today. So for those of you who do not know what a transparent command is, it is basically a command that runs within a command. And this function has actually been very looked over in the last few years. Not a lot of people know that it actually exists. Now, how you would find a transparent command, it actually shows in this little tab on the right-hand side here. As you can see, it says angle distance, bearing distance, azimuth distance. These are all transparent commands that you can use inside of Civil 3D. Now, if you do not have access to this, or you do not see that little tab, you can simply go over to the View tab on your Civil 3D, go over to Toolbars, Civil, and make sure that your transparent commands are switched on. That is how you will know that you actually have access to these. So just to give a bit of background how a transparent command works, I'm going to do this a little bit manually. I'm not going to use any of these buttons to showcase this first part. So say, for example, we have these two lines and I want to fillet them, but I have a fixed object that I know has to be the distance. This is just a very, very basic example. I'm going to make a circle, let's say radius of 300. Let's make that rather 600. Okay, so I want to fillet these lines, but I want to basically extract the radius of this circle to do that. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go over to, I'm going to go and launch the fillet command. So I'm going to be using shortcuts most of the time. I'm going to launch the fillet command. Now, as you can see, it gives you all of these options on the bottom here. That's all well and good, but for these, you would have to usually enter the value yourself. I'm going to choose the radius command. Now, over here, you can actually type your distance, but I'm going to use the manual transparent command, which is 'CAL. That launches the calculation function, and then it needs an expression. Let's say, for example, I want a radius. I'm going to type rad at the expression and press enter. Now it says select circle, arc, or polyline segment for rad function. I'm going to select my circle, and then I'm going to select my first object, and then my second object. And there you go. Let's quickly verify this. I'm going to go to annotate, dimension. I'm going to just put in this over here. It says 600. So now we know that it is actually at 600. Just ignore the dimension style. Those have not actually been set up for this drawing, as it's just a showcase. Okay, so that is basically how a transparent command works. It's a command within a command. Let me just quickly undo all the way up until there. Okay, so these commands actually have a multitude of uses, and it is really just limited to your imagination what I'm showcasing is the very most basic way in which you can apply these. So let's start off with drawing a polyline between points. So most of the time, transparent commands usually work as snaps to different objects, so that you do not necessarily have to go and, let's say, for example, I want to draw a polyline, and you would snap to a node, snap to a node. So the transparent command that I'm going to be showcasing just replaces that function. So I'm going to start off with my polyline command. Okay. So I'm going to specify a start point. Let's see if this one works with this. Let's say point number 1, enter. So, and then 2, enter. So as you can see, I used this command over here, which is the point number. So it draws a object between objects of specified point numbers. So I'm going to continue on with this and draw towards 3. So point number 3, and then point number 4, and then enter. Okay, so that is how the draw between point number works. Now, say, for example, I want to draw to a specific coordinate. I want to continue this polyline and draw to a specific coordinate. Seeing as I'm still in the point number function, I'm going to press escape so that I can see my polyline command still continuing. And then what I'm going to use is I'm going to draw it to a northing easting location. So over here on the transparent commands, I'm going to click on northing easting. Now it asks for my northing, that is 500, and then press enter, and then easting is 1500, and then enter. And as you can see, it draws directly towards that object. So now one other thing that you can do is you don't necessarily have to draw these lines between objects for the transparent commands to work. You can also draw it by bearing and distance. So I'm just going to quickly go over here to these objects. As you can see, I have a polyline and it is drawn at a certain bearing and it has a length. Now say, for example, I want to replicate this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to launch my polyline command, PL, and then enter. I'm going to click anywhere. You can start literally anywhere. So I'm going to click to start my command. Now what I want to do is I want to activate the bearing and distance command from this point. I'm going to navigate up to my transparent commands. As you can see, when I hover over there, the little tooltip activates and it says bearing distance. There it gives a short description of how this command works. So I'm going to start with that. And now you can see it asks you to select a quadrant. So I know from this point I have to go towards the northeast. So this is going to be within the northeastern quadrant. Now please note that these bearings are actually shown in degrees. And as you can see, just on the right-hand side of where my mouse is moving around with that little purple line, it says the bearing is 235. So to get to that actual bearing, I would have to add it to 180. I would have to add that value to 180. I did try this yesterday and it did work with the normal bearing command, and I could not figure out what changed in my drawing so that I actually have to add 180. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my calculator and quickly add 180 plus 56. That is 236 degrees. Okay, so now I know to get to that same bearing, I have to use 236 degrees. So 236. And then the way in which you would add or enter a bearing is a bit different than what is shown. So I would have to press 236.4720. Please remember this because this is the standard way in which a bearing has to be entered in Civil 3D. When I press enter, it's going to snap to that bearing. And now I have to choose a distance, 190.718. Enter. There we have that line. Now I want to continue. As you can see, it automatically goes back into the transparent command function. Now I want to go to the southeast at 59 degrees, 35 minutes, and 40 seconds. I'm going to choose my quadrant here. And now you can see that it, once again, I'm going to show you the right way and the wrong way to do this, or rather the other way around. So as you can see, it says we are in the range bearing between 270 and 360 degrees, but we want to get to our 59 degrees, 35 minutes, and 40 seconds. Now, when I enter, let's say, for example, I want to get this bearing inside there. So I'm going to, let's just use a bearing like 59.3540. So I'm going to enter that exact bearing of that line at the top and then press enter. It actually says that please enter a value greater than or equal to 180 degrees and less than or equal to 270 degrees. That says that we still have to apply the same rule, strangely enough, that we did with the first part of our line. So I'm going to use the 180 plus that 59 degrees. So I'm going to say, just here on my calculator on the other screen, 180 plus 59, that is equals to 239 degrees. So if I enter 239.3540, I still keep the 35 minutes and 40 seconds because that is just a standard addition. And then press enter. It snaps to that bearing, and then I can use the length 183.239 and then press enter. It still wants to continue on with this command, but I'm going to press escape. It goes back to your standard Polyline command, and I'm going to press escape once again to exit out of that command. Now, that workflow might have seemed strange, but I'm going to show you now that these values are actually going to end up being exactly the same with this bottom line. I'm going to add a label for my line and curve. I set up a bearing and distance label style. I'm going to click add. I'm going to select that line and select that line. And as you can see, they match exactly. It's just that every single time you want to do a bearing, you have to add 180 degrees. Okay. So then what we can do then is we can move on to show you guys that it is not only necessary to use polylines. These transparent commands actually work within multiple different objects, like for example, feature lines. Let's say we have what I've drawn out here is just a basic rectangular shape of a concrete slab. It says TOC for top of concrete and then plat for platform. Now, these points all have elevations. As you can see, it's at 1,650 meters above sea level over here on my properties. Now, all of these have levels. I've made it so that it slopes down into that direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a feature line. So I'm just going to use the feature line command, create feature line. I'm just going to leave all of these as standard. And now we can choose a start point. So I want to draw my feature line between these points. What I'm going to use is once again the point number transparent command. I'm going to click on that and press 5. So it goes from 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to start with 5. Enter. As you can see, it shows a little green line over there, or green crosshair. It means it selected that point. I'm going to go to, it says that it found the elevation of 1650. I'm going to press enter for that. Then I'm going to go to 6, press enter, and then specify a grade. It already catches that grade, which is minus 0.472. Now, please note these are just these are not necessarily supposed to be correct slopes. They are just made to showcase the functions of transparent commands. So I'm going to press enter for the slope. It catches that point. I'm going to go to 7, press enter, and then the slope between those 2 points is 0. I'm going to press enter once again. Then I want to go back to 9, or sorry, 8. Press enter, it catches that slope, positive up in that direction. I press enter once again to grab that slope, and then 5, enter, and it closes up that object. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another way to achieve almost the exact same end goal with a feature line, but just with another way of choosing the points. So yeah, let's get started with that one. Feature line. I'm going to use feature line, create feature line. Now, this is actually used to draw out, let's say, for example, break lines to add to a surface. That is what this is very useful for. If you have received certain points from a surveyor and you have to connect those points yourself and add them to a surface as break lines to actually add a bit more definition to the surface. So I'm going to just create another feature line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that point number system again. I'm going to press on that one. I'm going to choose, I'm going to say 9-12. So what that means is it's going to run through the command of going to that point, to that point, to that point, to that point without having to type in the number every time. I'm going to press enter. It finds the elevation for point number 9. I press enter. It finds the slope for towards point number 10. Press enter. Find the slope towards number 11. Press enter again, and finds the slope towards 12. And then I can just press enter. You can then also just press 9 again to close it. Okay, so that is how you can use feature lines, or rather transparent commands with feature lines. Okay, so one other thing that I can also show you guys is how to use transparent commands if you want to, say, for example, draw geometry on the side of an alignment. This is an actual road alignment that I drew out, and I have done some offset alignments on the side. They are offset 3.5 meters from the center line. What I'm going to do is, say, for example, we want to now draw a lane widening for a bus stop or something like that. So let's make I'm going to make quite a bit of a long one just so that it displays a bit better. I'm going to launch my Polyline command, or you can use this button at the top here. I launch my Polyline command, and then what I'm going to do is you can actually use, there it is, the station offset transparent command. So once I launch this command, it asks me for to specify an alignment. I'm going to click on my alignment, and now you see that it actually wants you to specify a station along the baseline. Let's say we want to start at 120 meters. I'm going to specify 100 and then press enter. And then I want to have the bus lane starting on that edge. So I'm going to specify 3.5. So just so that you guys know, as you can see, if you're on the left-hand side of the alignment, it's a negative value for the offset. If you're on the right-hand side of the alignment, it is a positive value. So I've got positive 3.5, which means 3.5 meters to the right. And I can press enter. As you can see, it puts a little point down there. That means that's where your line is going to start. I now want a transition, let's say, for example, 20 meters long. So I'm going to specify a chainage of 120. And then I want just another lane width. Let's say 3.5 plus 3.5 is 7 meters. So I wanted 7 on the right-hand side. There's our transition. Now I want to keep a straight up towards chainage, let's say just up to 200. So I'm going to specify 200 meters as my station. And then I'm going to specify 7 again, because that is the lane width. That is where our transition end is going to start. Press enter. And now I want to close out my transition, and I'm going to press, let's make it another 20 meters, which means 220, enter, and then 3.5, because I just wanted to tie back into the side of that road again, and then press enter. And there you go. That is how you can use transparent commands with alignments. You can also, as you can see, there's a lock station and a lock offset function. What that means is that you can specify, let's say, for example, you choose lock station. It means that you want to draw an object in a line perpendicular to the alignment. So you can, for example, with a survey, if you want to draw a house or something perpendicular to the road, you can use the lock station to draw the perpendicular sides here, and then the lock offset to just specify a distance between the locked offsets, and you can draw rectangles and all of that right next to it. Okay, so as I said, this is literally limited to your imagination. You can do anything you want, almost anything you want with these transparent commands. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that transparent commands can also be used on profiles. You can use them with design profiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a design profile, but without placing my design profile, the vertical points of intersection manually. I'm going to click on my profile view, and I'm going to launch my profile creation tools. Just before I continue with that, I just want to show you guys, this is an NGL section for this survey over here, this long road over here. I also have a secondary profile, but I'm not going to be using that one. Okay, so I'm going to select my profile view and launch my profile creation tools. I'm not going to really give it a name. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a draw tangents without curves. Okay, so once you have that, you have to specify a start point. I'm going to just snap to the end, to that point over there. You'll see my design profile is this blue line. Now I want to draw out this design profile without having to manually go and place this. Say, for example, you have certain criteria that you have to fulfill, like a slope or gradient and or stations and offsets that you have to actually match up with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my profile, to my transparent commands, and you have a profile station elevation function. So there are a few. I'm going to be showcasing these four over here with this. Okay, when I click on profile station elevation, it's going to ask you to select a profile view. Now I'm going to select the profile view that we are busy with. As you can see, it grabs your station snap over here. So let's say, for example, I'm not going to do this perfectly. I'm just going to basically do it a little bit randomly. So I want to go to station 100. So I'm going to specify station 100 and then press enter. And then we want to match an elevation. Let's say, for example, I wanted to match this ground line over here or get as close to it as possible. I'm going to specify 13. This is at an exact vertical exaggeration of 10. So that is why it might look a bit different. So it's 100 meters vertically between the green line and the yellow line, and then 10 meters, horizontally, and then 10 meters vertically. So I want to match up with this point over here, which would be 1344 as an elevation. 1344, and then press enter. There you go. Specifies that. So if you want to now go and use another transparent command, you would have to press escape. And as you can see, it lets me draw out my line once again. So now the command that I'm going to use is going to be the profile, grade, and station. So you're going to specify a grade and a station to where that grade should go. I'm going to click on that. So let's specify a grade. I think this was around let's say minus 6.5%. So minus 6.5 and then press enter. Close enough. So now I want to go and let's say, for example, make a vertical point of intersection over here. So this is going to be station, let's go to 280, 280, enter. There you have that. I'm going to press escape once again and use another transparent command. The one that I'm going to be using now is profile, grade, and elevation. So you're going to specify a grade and then an elevation to where that grade should stretch. I'm going to click on that one. Let's say, for example, we want to go at around about minus 2%, I think. Minus 2, and then press enter. Yeah, close enough. And I want to go to, what is that elevation there? 1329. 1329, and then press enter. There it goes to that exact elevation. Okay, so then we have one last one. I'm going to press escape to exit out of that transparent command. And I'm going to now go ahead and specify profile, grade, and length. So you would specify a grade forward and then a length for that grade. Specify that. So let's say we have a grade of, just want to make sure about something. Okay. So now we want to have a grade of, let's say, for example, let's just mirror that upwards. That's going to be 2%. 2%. It takes it as a positive. And what's that? That's 100, 160. Let's say we want, yeah, let's say 160. 160. So I'm going to take it for a length of 160 and then press enter. And there we go. So guys, that is how you would use transparent commands to draw out a design profile if you have predetermined criteria that you have to fit. And I know that there isn't really any other way to do this when using the normal profile creation tools, unless you use your tabular editor. I just find that this is fairly simple and very, very easy to use. Okay, so I'm going to just press escape and escape. I'm not going to finish up that entire profile because we have basically showcased what these ones already do. Now, one other thing that I want to show you guys is, say, for example, we want to have something projected over here. We have points. So I've prepared some points. Now, I know that this is just right next to the fill embankment. I just said CFL to make it basically look like a channel flow line. And I want to connect these points, not necessarily with an object in plan, but I want to show how these points connect in profile view. Let me just close up my profile creation tools. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this by use of a polyline. I'm going to launch the polyline command. Let's just use this one over here at the top. So I've launched my polyline command. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and look at this one. So it is profile, station, and elevation from Kogo point. So this would actually draw a profile with a polyline on your profile view just by clicking on the points in plan. So I'm going to click on that one. Now it asks you to select a profile view. I'm going to select this profile view. And now it wants to select the point objects. So let's go ahead and select this one. It wants to select the next one. Let's just go ahead and move through all of these. I'm just clicking on the text because it does select the point object. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That one. And lastly, that one. Now I have faith in this. I'm going to just press escape and escape again. And let's go over to the profile view. I'm going to quickly switch this polyline to white so that you guys can see it a bit better. And there you have it. It drew my entire polyline on my profile view by me just selecting the points in plan. And I find that is a fairly useful fairly useful object. Say, for example, you have a swale that you want to draw out in front of a culvert or something, something similar to that. It might be very useful for you to actually determine your design profile. Okay, so that is basically it with how to use it with profile views. Now I'm going to go back to this drawing over here. There are a few last things that I want to show you guys. It's just with some other basic commands. Now, say for example, I want to draw this line. I want to draw it in another way, but I want to match the length. Okay. So now I'm going to showcase how to use a transparent command within another transparent command. And it is very simple, actually. I'm going to launch my line command, create line. I'm going to just choose any start point. Now I want to basically lock a direction for this. I want to show you what happens if you only use the match length. So I want to match this line's length with the one at the bottom here. It has to be 450 meters long. Down here, you have a transparent command that says match length. I'm going to click on that one and I'm going to select this line. What happens is you did not specify a direction for this line prior to matching the length. So it passes through the point where you clicked on this line to actually match its length. I'm going to delete that line and I'm going to show you the correct way to do this. Press L for line. I want to use the bearing and distance transparent command. And I'm going to, let's say for example, I want to draw it towards the northeast. I'm going to click in that quadrant and I'm just going to free pick a bearing over here. Let's say for example there. Now I want it to pass through that bearing. Okay, so now with this distance, where it wants you to actually enter the distance, now you can go ahead and launch the match length command. And I'm going to select that line. See, it draws that line to that length. And now it wants you to continue with that transparent command. So let's say, for example, I want to draw it towards the southeast. Let's free pick another bearing there. For the length, I'm going to use the match length function again and click on that. There we go. And I can actually verify that this has worked by using my label that I've set up. Add line and curve labels. I've got my bearing and distance. I'm going to click add to that one, and add to that one. Let's go and see. So it has to be 450 meters. There we go, 450, and then 450. Okay. So now we're basically going to come back to where we started off. Remember in the beginning, I showed you how to use a manual transparent command with the apostrophe CAL method, where you specify rad and then choose a circle. Now, say for example, I want to draw a circle and I want to match the radius to this line. I want to make it 450, and then I want to fillet these two lines with that circle. So I'm going to press C and then enter for circle. And then where it says, where it wants the radius for the circle, I'm going to match the length to that object. And now we have a circle with 450 radius. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press fillet. And where it says radius, I'm going to click on radius. And then I'm going to use this match radius function. I'm going to click on that and then click on this circle. It finds my radius, and then I just click on my two entities to fillet it. As you can see, the radius is 450. Okay, guys, so that's basically it for showcasing the modeling. Now, what I want to also show you guys is where else you can find these transparent commands. Now, in the latest releases of Civil 3D, I think it was from 2019.2, if I, for example, just go and draw a line, you can right-click and go to transparent commands. It has all of those transparent commands over here. Okay, so that is how you can also find your transparent commands. You can also find it, let me just delete that. When I go to home and I go to my line dropdown, you also have all of these most of the transparent commands, just the ones relating to lines. You have access to them in this dropdown. Okay. And then the final part for this webinar, I'm going to show you another way of how to do this profile. So there is another way to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these entities quickly. I'm going to select my profile. I'm going to go to my profile creation tools. Okay. And then I'm going to just click OK here. I don't have to really name it. Let's say, for example, I want to start with my tangents. Now, if you go over here, you also have a transparent command tab. Just make sure when you right click on this part over here, you can go to show tabs and it will have your transparent commands over there. So just make sure that that is enabled if you want this tab to show. Okay, so let me just relaunch that command. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we want to use this profile toolset. So this is also a very nice place to find all of these other transparent commands. So they're literally accessible from basically anywhere in your model. I'm going to click on profile toolset. And what happens then is it because we were in this command, it automatically picked up that we are working on this one. So it splits your views for you immediately. Now, say, for example, you want to edit your viewport configuration. You can switch it to single, vertical, horizontal. You can specify the vertical split and all of that. I'm going to go to single and press OK. Now, the transparent commands tab has changed to profile toolset, this little blue one over here. Now, what this does is it does not add any extra functionality. It just basically transforms these 4 commands that we use there. It transforms it into a visual representation. So I'm going to start off with this start point. Can you start for me there? There we go. Okay, so it finds that you're busy with profile view road 1. So what you can do now is you can actually go ahead and enter your values into these blocks over here, and it'll automatically draw your profile for you according to the values that you've specified. Let's say, for example, I want to go to value, station value 100. So this is going to be station value 100 meters. So 100, and then press enter. And I want to go to an elevation of 1344, 1344, and then press enter. There you go. Draws that point over there. Now I want to continue. I want to go to, let's say, for example, down to station 200 at a grade of minus 6.5. Station 200, enter, and then grade minus 6.5, and then press enter. It draws that line for you. Now I want to go to an elevation of, what is that? That is 1332. This point is 1332 at a grade of minus, let's say minus 5.5. 1332, enter, minus 5.5, enter. And you can literally use these in any combination that you want to draw out your profile view. It's just a bit more of a visual representation of these commands, and you don't have to go and re-specify, press escape and re-specify the transparent command again. Okay, guys, so that is basically it. I think we are done with this webinar right now. So I'm going to move over to my presentation quickly and move back over here. Do we have any questions? You can type your questions in the question and answer box if you want to. Okay. No questions, I guess. Okay, guys. So let me quickly just move on to this point. So I do understand that I did not go over exactly all of those transparent commands. I feel that it would have been too time consuming. We would have gone probably into the 2-hour mark if I had to cover each and every single one of those transparent commands. But this video is recorded if you ever want to come and look at it again. We do have a YouTube channel for Modena, and you can find all of our webinars on there. As Salome also said, this webinar will be mailed to you, or rather the link will be mailed to you. Okay, guys. Thank you all for attending, and have a wonderful day. Cheers.